Here's more of the Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.
She's got the fire and the fight of a gypsy. Ain't nothing stronger than the heart of Dixie. The heart of Dixie.
And we're back on the Alice Stewart Show. We're looking at about 14 minutes before 8 o'clock. And all eyes in the nation are looking at the big midterm elections in November, and a lot of focus here on Arkansas with the big race between Senator Mark Pryor and Congressman Tom Cotton. And we are fortunate to have Congressman Cotton joining us here on the Royal Overhead Door Hotline. Congressman, good morning.
Hey, Alice, great to be on with you.
Glad you could be here. Laurie Lee joins us here in studio, and we want to talk to you about one of the big issues that we've been discussing for quite some time, and that is the crisis on the border. We've had tens of thousands of illegal immigrants coming into this country. And I want to first talk about you and your colleagues there in the House. You passed a measure Friday before you left for recess to address this issue, and it is certainly fell on deaf ears in the Senate. But first off, explain what you and your colleagues in the House did do to actually address the border crisis.
Alice, we do have a border crisis. Tens of thousands of illegal immigrants are crossing our border. This is a direct result of Barack Obama and Mark Pryor's failed policies. Barack Obama granted amnesty 2 years ago to hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants in our country. Liberals like Mark Pryor voted to give amnesty to all illegal immigrants in our country. And it shouldn't be surprising that we therefore have more people trying to cross our border illegally. In the House, we stayed past our scheduled adjournment to get to a solution. We would give more money to governors like Rick Perry to enforce our border with the National Guard. We would expedite not settlement of these illegal immigrants in our country, but the return of them to their country to discourage them from coming in the first place and exposing themselves to all kinds of violence and danger en route. And we would stop future presidential amnesties, just like the one the president made 2 years ago, that is causing this problem. What did Mark Pryor do? He voted on Thursday to protect the president's executive amnesty, and then he skipped town for 5 weeks.
Right, and that is a focus of a new ad that your campaign has released. It's entitled Southern Border, and it's a pretty hefty ad, six-figure ad buy that will run statewide. I want to play the ad and have you elaborate a little bit more on it, because this is an important for folks to know actually what he actually has done as opposed to what he is saying about immigration. Here is Southern Border.
I'm Tom Cotton. I approve this message.
Our southern border. Chaos and crime. Washington made the mess. Senator Mark Pryor voted for amnesty, citizenship for illegals. Pryor voted against a border fence 3 times. And now, Pryor ignores the crisis.
We have a much more secure border today than we did 10 years ago.
Seriously, Senator?
We have a much more secure border today than we did 10 years ago.
It's time to retire Pryor.
Congressman, how can he say with a straight face that we have a more secure border than we had 10 years ago?
Alice, it's what he's been doing for 12 years on all kinds of issues. He likes to talk as if he's a moderate, but he votes like a liberal. 90% of the time, he votes with Barack Obama. He votes to give amnesty to illegal immigrants, which leads to more illegal immigration. He cast a decisive vote for Obamacare, and he's helped Barack Obama add $1 trillion of debt every single year during the Obama presidency. Those are simple facts. Mark Pryor can talk like a moderate if he wants in Arkansas, but Arkansans know that he votes like a liberal and he votes with Barack Obama in Washington.
Congressman, this is Laurie. Just wanted to ask you, since we are not a border state, how do you think that this immigration issue resonates with the citizens of Arkansas?
Laurie, I can tell you on the campaign trail right now for the last month or so, this is the number one issue about which I get asked by voters. They are deeply concerned about our security. They're concerned about enforcing our borders. They're concerned about the well-being of especially these children that are coming from Central America and being subjected to all kinds of abuse and violence by the traffickers that are bringing them here. We want to welcome people, as we always have in our country, who are subject to religious or political persecution or discrimination and persecution because of their sex or race or ethnicity, but we have to enforce our border. And we have to make sure that we're protecting our national security and protecting our sovereignty. And our Kansans actually are going to put some of this bill. We just learned recently through news reports from the Obama administration that over 150 of these illegal immigrants are being settled inside of Arkansas. That's going to put additional strain on local communities in their tax base for schools and police and fire and healthcare and so forth.
Yeah, and I am discouraged by the fact we find out about this after the fact, after they're here. I want to ask you this, Congressman. You made the point that we are a nation of immigrants. We are a compassionate nation. I did catch you on Fox yesterday with Neil Cavuto, and you made an important point with this entire discussion that it's important that we encourage these people to apply for asylum in their home country, apply for asylum there, and come here legally, go about it through the legal process. We're not here to keep people out, but we want them to come here legally. How important is that, Congressman?
It's critically important. Again, we've always welcomed victims of persecution as refugees into our country. I mean, take, for instance, the Christians right now that are being persecuted, in some cases crucified by the Islamic State of Syria and Iraq, in northern Iraq, in Mosul. But those are the kind of people that we have always opened our doors to, Christians who are being persecuted because of their Christian faith. But what needs to happen is people who are seeking that kind of refugee status simply go to our local consulate or embassy and apply through proper procedures. We've done that for decades and will always continue to do it. It's one of the things that makes America great. We can't just encourage people to show up on our southern border and ask to be taken in and sheltered and fed and clothed and given health care and education and so forth. We have to enforce our border, and we have to enforce our immigration laws.
And Congressman, one of the things that I think I'm fearful of, and a lot of folks are, is that Barack Obama will do as he's done, use his pen and his phone and unilaterally bypass Congress and take executive action on immigration. We know last week Senator Pryor blocked a vote, a measure that would have prohibited this. What are your concerns, and how important is it for folks to understand Senator Pryor's doing nothing to stop an executive action by Barack Obama?
Alice, it's worse than that. He's enabling future presidential amnesty by Barack Obama. He had a chance last week on Thursday night, less than a week ago, to stop the president from using any taxpayer dollars to implement that kind of presidential amnesty. And once again, no matter what he says in Arkansas, no matter how he likes to talk like a moderate, he voted like a liberal with Barack Obama and Harry Reid to protect the president's future presidential amnesty. In the House, we did the exact opposite. We voted to stop it.
All the things that you're saying, Congressman, really come true if you look at this polling by the public policy polling, where Senator Pryor's numbers are plummeting. His approval rating is in the tank, and you're up on him in this poll that is definitely a left-leaning poll. So the voters of Arkansas are not going to be fooled by the point that you keep making, that he likes to come home and talk like he's a moderate, but his voting record is loud and clear that he is a liberal at heart, and he has been with the president, who has been against the American people and the people of Arkansas for so long. So that's really ringing true, and that is indicative of what the results are of this poll.
No doubt, Laurie. I mean, polls go up, polls go down. Surprisingly, not even a Democratic pollster can get Mark Pryor into a lead or with a favorable job approval rating. But the one number that doesn't change is polls go up and polls go down is 90%. And that's the amount of time that Mark Pryor votes for Barack Obama and doesn't vote for Arkansas.
And that's important to know when you can say Arkansas first, but clearly Barack Obama comes first when he's voting. And one of the crosstabs I saw in a recent poll, Congressman, that last question here is, you do well with the independents. And how important is that for you to really go after that vote as we move closer to November?
Well, Alice, we're on the campaign trail every day, working hard to win everyone's vote. I want to win the votes of independents. I want to win the votes of Republicans. I want to win the votes of Democrats. And we certainly have a lot of conservative, traditional Democrats in Arkansas who simply know that the Obama Democratic Party doesn't represent Arkansas values, and that Mark Pryor is a key supporter of the Obama agenda in Washington.
All right. We appreciate your time, Congressman Tom Cotton. Thank you for taking a little break from the campaign trail, and look forward to talking with you soon.
Thanks so much, Sean.
All right.
Good day.
Thank you. And you can find out more about the congressman and the race. Go to tomcotton.com. Laurie, thanks for being here.
Hey, you bet. Thanks for having me.
A lot of politics, and we'll continue as we get closer to November.
It's going to be a good year.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. That wraps it up for this edition of the Alice Stewart Show. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We'll have much more politics to discuss. Have a great, great day. We'll talk tomorrow. God bless.
Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.